So yeah, I took my my kid to a movie for the first time this week. Yeah, I didn't know what to think of that. Like, or I didn't know what to expect. Like, I was kind of thinking about it this week. I'm like, man, I want to see Big Hero 6. Maybe he's old enough. So, because he's like 2.5. Well, 2 3/4. He turns 3 in February, to be exact. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. I can just see having to get up in the middle of this. But then I thought about it. I'm like, well, what's the worst going to happen? I'll spend money on a movie and I lose my money. And we walk out, whatever. It's not the end of the world. I give it a shot. So I gave it a try. So yeah, well, I made sure I found like a showing that was like an earlier showing, first showing of the day. This one was like 10:45 on Saturday. And yeah, he was great. I was shocked. Like, wow. There were a couple times he seemed like he was getting a little bored. Like, he'd go to me in the middle of the movie, like, Daddy. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, he's like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm watching the movie. And I was so worried because I don't know, like, if a lot of kids are like this, but, you know, I'd like to say, knock on wood, he's potty trained. You know, I'm pretty he's pretty much done with the potty training thing. Yeah. But, you know, he still does that thing where you can tell he's using potty as a means of getting out of a situation. Like, he's bored or something. Hey, I got to go potty. And then you take him. He doesn't do like anything. He like trickle. Okay, I'm done. I'm like, seriously? That was it? And I was so worried in the middle of this movie, he was going to be like, Dad, I got to potty. I'm like, every time he kept going, Daddy, I'm like, oh God, here it comes. And no, he was just like, look, the lights. I'm like, yeah, the lights. But he actually sat and watched the whole movie. He's been talking about Baymax all the time since we saw it.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked.
That's a major milestone, taking your child to their first movie in a movie theater.
Yeah. Aww. That's pretty pumped. I could tell Big Hero 6, you know, he liked it, but it's not like a funny kids movie. And I could tell like a funny kids movie would probably really get his attention even more.
Right, like Penguins.
Like when Minions comes out. He will be all over that.
Yeah.
You know, or the, you know, Penguins of Madagascar. I could see him being into that. When is that? Yeah, I got to see when that comes out.
That's out now.
Oh, is it already out?
That came out for Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I need to take him to another movie.
It's got so reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Madagascar films.
Yeah, but Big Hero 6 it's a really good movie, but it's definitely for kind of older-ish kids. And so for someone who's not even 3 yet to be able to sit through that, like, that's awesome. And I'm glad that he liked it. Like, that's
he liked
exciting.
it. And there was even I won't get into spoilers, but there's a kind of a sadder moment toward the end, and like the theater is dead quiet and something's going to happen to a certain somebody, and like the only voice in the theater you hear him go like, oh, he's going to fall. And you can hear other people behind me going, oh, and I'm like, it's okay, buddy. Like, at least it was like an indication. I'm like, well, he kind of knows what's going on. He's paying attention a little bit. Because there were times where I'm like, is he really even paying attention to this movie, or is he just like looking at the ceiling? Occasionally he'd turn around and look at the projector. He'd be like, wow, what's that? I'm like, turn around, dude. Watch the movie. Come on.
Yeah.
He's putting it all together, you know? He's getting the magic all at one time for the first time. Yeah. That's a lot.
No, it was pretty cool. I was pretty excited to take him to his first movie. So it'll be super exciting when I can start taking him to all types of movies.
Oh, yeah.
Like now, of course, I'm all about, hey, cartoons come out, I will take you. But, you know, it's going to be a little while still until I can take him to like a live action movie.
Yeah, that means you won't have to worry about the Yasha syndrome where you're just this adult going to a kid's movie. You'll actually be able to take your kid with you.
Yeah. I've been the adult guy. Just going to a kid's movie, but yeah.
You're no longer the awkward, creepy guy in the theater that's just sitting by himself.
I'll have a kid there with me.
You have a legit that's your flesh and blood.
Until he's too old, and then he's like, I don't want to see Penguins of Madagascar.
No.
And then I'll be there by myself. Well, not for that. I wouldn't see that by myself.
No.
Because I wouldn't bother with that. But anyway.
Well, how was the rest of your Thanksgiving?
Mine was good. Good food. I ate too much. Yeah, nothing really exciting to report. Got a Christmas tree. Not on Thanksgiving Day, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No Black Friday shopping?
Yeah, not really. I didn't really do any Black Friday shopping. I did pick up something for myself off Amazon because I couldn't stop myself. Though, like, I never bought the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings trilogy on Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. I have them on DVD. I bought those as they were coming out back in the day. What, 10 years ago? Yeah, they had it one day. They had some 24-hour sale where they had the extended edition trilogy Blu-ray for $30. And I'm like, done. Yeah, sorry, I can't pass that up.
Wow.
But then again, I went on there and they had that Star Trek Next Generation deal again. I'm like, oh God, I want them so badly. But no, I didn't buy that. Did you do any Black Friday shopping?
Well, yeah, my Thanksgiving was sort of weird because I kind of did the same thing I do every year where I'm like, okay, this year I'm not going to overeat. I'm just going to eat so much and then be done with it and just not have that feeling of being too stuffed. So wouldn't you know it, on Wednesday, there's a potluck at work. And so I ate a lot on Wednesday. But then Thursday, I just had a little bit. But then Friday, we had like this Friendsgiving thing. And so I end up eating more there and getting more full than I thought I would get over the course of the weekend. So that didn't really pan out. And then as far as any Black Friday deals, I didn't really see anything specific. But the only thing I actually did pick up was the, what was it? Edge of Tomorrow for $6 at Target.
Live, Die, Repeat, you mean?
Well, I refuse to call it that.
Yeah, exactly.
I barely want to call it Edge of Tomorrow, knowing that it should be All You Need Is Kill, but I will at least bow down to the American version of it. And yeah, I bought that for $6, so I thought that was a pretty good steal. Especially now, I keep hearing people constantly saying how good they think the movie is now that it's out on Blu-ray and they didn't get a chance to see it in the theater. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good pickup.
Right. So, Michelle, did you do anything? How was your Thanksgiving? Do any shopping?
Thanksgiving was excellent. It was the first time in 3 years where my spouse and I did not have to work. And so, yeah, it was amazing. We slept in. We had cinnamon rolls for breakfast with mimosas.
That's
and
not
watched
where I
the
expected
parade.
that to go, but anyway, go on.
Oh, sorry. I mean, like...
We had cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, that's a traditional Thanksgiving dinner.
Cinnamon rolls are amazing, and they're almost just as important as the other things.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so we had cinnamon rolls and mimosas and watched Macy's Parade, and I got up a little early and I did something totally different. I did a turkey breast in the crock pot in the slow cooker. And that was not only the best decision I've ever made, I think, for Thanksgiving, but it was the best turkey I think I've ever had for Thanksgiving.
Nice.
So that was amazing. As far as the rest of the day, we just sat and did nothing. It was awesome. But for Black Friday, I'm not a big Black Friday shopper. I'm not a big shopper in general to go out in the public. I don't like being around mass crowds and vehicles that are angry. But I do like cyber shopping a lot. I'm down with that, and I'm super excited for Cyber Monday.
So, yeah, tomorrow's your big day then.
I'm going to be at my job position, and I won't be doing a lot of my job position. It will be on.
Why do I get the feeling that you did air quotes when you said job position?
Kind of, yeah. I will definitely be taking a look at Amazon quite frequently. It'll be refreshing continuously on my webpage at work. But there's amazing deals that can be had just on the internet alone, let alone going to a store and dealing with people that are angry and frustrated with life. I mean, you can just be in your jammies and shop and get amazing deals right from your own home or job.
I agree with you.
So, yeah.
That's why I go on Amazon and end up buying things for myself. That's horrible, but anyway.
No, yeah. It's all good.
All right. Well, we should start the show. Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect. I would normally say a podcast where we chat about a lot of stuff, but pretty much this week it's going to be about Star Wars. It's a podcast where we chat about Star Wars and more Star Wars and then probably some more Star Wars. But no, in all seriousness, we chat about the latest happenings in film, TV, and pop culture. By the way, this is episode 113. We're recording on Sunday, November 30th, 2014. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hello, everybody.
And Michelle Curry.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm pleased to announce you'll probably be back on a more regular basis. So welcome to the show.
Yay.
Thank you.
Clap, 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 clap.
Yay. Sorry, I don't have an applause ready to go here.
Thank you guys so much.
I should be prepped for these situations.
Ooh, sound effects. That's what we need.
Yeah,
sound effects. Oh, great sound effects lady. No, thank you guys. I'm excited. I like I've always loved listening to the show, and now it's really amazing to be a part of it and to throw in my 2 cents and say, yes, I agree with you, or no, I totally disagree with that thought process. But I'm
That'll
excited.
probably happen more often than not. No.
Yeah.
There we go.
Here and there. But I mean, I'm excited. I'm very, very happy right now.
Sweet. Well.
And it's not just the liquor talking.
No.
No.
You just came from a wedding. That's what we're talking about, obviously. But yeah.
I just came from a very wonderful wedding.
A wonderful open bar wedding.
An excellent wedding with some really amazing friends of mine that I've known for years. And I'm happy. They're happy. Everybody's it's a happy evening.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, normally we'd start off by talking about stuff we've watched lately. And we're going to do that. But you know what? Why are we screwing around? Let's just jump right into the big topic of the day. A Star Wars trailer came out. To recap.
It did?
Yeah.
Man. Where was I? I think I might have missed that.
There is no way
I'm
of all
with you.
people
I've
on the
not
planet.
heard a thing about this. It's not like it blew up on the internet or anything.
Right.
I mean, it's so silent and secretive.
Well, yeah, Bobby doesn't really use Facebook, so I mean, how would he know?
No, exactly. My social media skills are lacking, to say the least.
Right. So to recap, I guess it's so much has happened. I almost have a hard time remembering where we were as of last week when we talked. So as of last weekend, I think it was mainly just a rumor, like, hey, we might see a trailer next weekend right after Thanksgiving, but there wasn't anything confirmed. And I want to say it was Monday morning that it was like official, okay, it's coming out, but we don't know where yet. Then Regal kind of apparently jumped the gun and posted on their website, like, hey, these are the theaters we're going to play it at. And soon after, AMC and Cinemark came out with their theaters, and I think there were some other theater companies that had showings of it as well. Pretty much StarWars.com finally just came out with like a master list of like, hey, these are all the theaters you're going to be able to see the trailer at Friday through Sunday. See any showing of any movie at those theaters, and you will see it. But apparently, and I don't know if this actually happened, but I think like part of the deal was that the first showing of the day at each of these theaters needed to be Big Hero 6, which indicates like, hey, obviously the idea here is that Disney's trying to pump up Big Hero 6 numbers because diehard Star Wars fans are going to go see the first showing of the day. And I think around the country it happened at what was our time here on the East Coast, like a 10 a.m. showing. Because, I mean, I definitely read about people on the West Coast seeing 7 a.m. showings of Big Hero 6. And it came out on the internet like at 10:15, so pretty much right after the first people in theater saw it. But, yeah, so originally it was going to be just in theaters at these random theaters, none around here in Orlando. So I was like, what the fuck? I'm not going to be able to see this, and I'm going to have to listen to Bobby talk about it, and it's going to drive me insane.
I was going to talk about it too.
Oh, yeah. But then it was later in the week that it came out, hey, it's going to be online as well on iTunes, which was awesome because I'm like, great, now I get to see it. But at least has me scratching my head going, what the fuck are they doing? Like, I mean, it seems like I already said, they're doing this as kind of a marketing ploy to bump up their numbers for Big Hero 6 and give everybody a little tease of what's going on with Star Wars, but we're only showing it at these few theaters around the country, which really wasn't very many. I don't remember how many it was. It wasn't a lot. It was a short list.
I want to say 50 maybe.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, hey, they'll probably play it at these theaters through Sunday, and then maybe Monday we'll get a trailer online, But then they go, hey, we're going to put it online like at the same time. I'm like, what are you doing? Like why would you do that? I didn't get it at all.
I mean, I wasn't online a lot on Thursday, but on Friday, like first thing in the morning, it had exploded on the internet. I mean, every outlet I went to on the internet had a feed to it. I mean, it was exciting. It was very, very exciting.
What were you going to say, Bobby?
Just echoing your thoughts, I just really didn't understand the idea behind putting it out there on Friday. At the very least, I thought, okay, well, maybe you wait till Monday morning, and then that way they could have done whatever I guess their plan may have been in terms of getting people to come to the theater over the weekend to go see Big Hero 6 or whatever, just to go to the local theaters for some reason, and then be able to release it on Monday, but then to just go ahead and release it on Friday. I don't know why they just didn't come out and say that in the first place, as opposed to making you think you had to go to one of these specific theaters to see it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make much sense.
Well, maybe initially they were thinking that that's the way they can control it from getting people to really to put it out there on the black market and to kind of get it. I mean, it was just kind of, maybe it was their way of trying to like solve the situation from people just video recording it in theater and then putting it on themselves. They could put out quality. Maybe I don't know.
I thought that
too. Get ahead of it in a weird way.
Yeah, but it seems like an afterthought. Like, hey, we're going to put this out in theaters only, is what it felt like. And then somebody, or I mean, maybe they had knowledge that it was already going to get out. In which case, I think it would have already been out. But anyway, I don't know. It almost seemed like then they were like, well, man, somebody's probably going to videotape it. Let's put it out too. But it seems to completely undermine what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, what we assume they were trying to accomplish. I don't know. But yeah, it's out, and we all got to see it. It also played at some IMAX theaters, which from my understanding, some of the footage near the end with the Millennium Falcon actually was in IMAX aspect ratio, because they are using IMAX cameras for some of the film. But you know what? We're probably going to talk about this for a little bit and do a little breakdown of the trailer. But first off, our general thoughts. Bobby, what did you think of the Star Wars trailer, and how did you see it? Did you go to a theater, or did you watch it online?
I saw it in the theater and I watched it online. So
did you see it online first?
I did. No, I saw it in the theater first, then online. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And so I was just in amazement because we finally have a new Star Wars trailer, something new that's coming out. So just overall, just my general opinion is it really did what it's supposed to do as a teaser. It got me primed and pumped, ready to see a new Star Wars film, and just getting to see the visuals and looking at how well it looks to be done and to fit within that original trilogy. It just impressed me all around. So I'm just really looking forward to it now more than I was previously.
Cool. What did you think of Michelle?
I was very excited. Like I said, I felt like Thursday, granted I wasn't online a lot on Thursday, but on Friday it just blew up the internet. And I mean, I think it might have actually broke the internet at one point on Friday. It was that intense. Like everybody was talking about it on every outlet feed I could possibly find. Everybody was talking about it. And I just thought it was exciting. It really, I mean, I was extremely young when the third Star Wars came out. Well, I mean, technically 6, but I was really young when that came out. And to have this movie is exciting because it's a whole new cast of characters in a way. It's totally new story plot. Like, we don't really know exactly where it's going, but it's new, it's fresh. It's almost like when the original Star Wars came out, it's just something nobody really knows a lot about. And I like that because even though, you know, the first 3, the latest ones came out, we all kind of knew the backstory vaguely. We all kind of knew where everything was going to go eventually. We knew where it was leading to, but here it's a brand new world. We don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea.
I love that. I love the excitement. I love seeing.
Not like the prequel trailers where even though we kind of didn't know what to expect, we kind of knew basically what the story was going to be.
We knew at the end of the day what was going to happen. Whereas right now it's like, we have no idea. We have no idea. And I love the fact that there's just no-name actors and see the Millennium Falcon cleaned up and so streamlined and beautiful. It was just exciting. So happy.
Nice. Yeah, it was actually, I think earlier I mentioned this, we saw Big Hero 6 on Saturday. No, it was Friday morning. And it was like a 10:45 showing. So we're like in the theater at 10:15, and I'm sitting here on my phone trying to watch it because I'm seeing it's coming out, but I could not get anything to work. Like every link I tried, trying to go to iTunes, it wouldn't show up in my trailers app on my iPhone. It was on the website, but it was like you try to click it and it just was like dead. I'm like, all right, either it's just too swamped or I'm just going to forget it. I'll watch the movie and then afterwards. So I saw it later, like at noon. And it was pretty badass. I really enjoyed the trailer. I was happy to see it wasn't kind of what I was expecting. There was a lot of speculation, of course, going around of like, oh, what's going to be in this trailer? And a lot of news outlets going, hey, this is what we're hearing is going to be in it. And one of the more common things I kept hearing, I don't know about you guys, but one of the more common ones that I kept hearing and the one that I was kind of expecting was just the basic, hey, we're going to see fade in and fade outs really quick of each like of the major characters. And that's pretty much going to be it. And I was buying that not because of the news outlets that were saying it, just because that made sense. I'm like, we're a year away. We're not going to see much. I mean, there's all this buildup and excitement throughout the week because now everybody knows it's coming out, and I just have a feeling it's going to be cool, but it's going to be really brief. And it was brief, but we saw more than I was expecting to see. So that was cool. And it was kind of random footage, which was cool, and it was awesome. Yeah, it came out to 88 seconds, I think. There was a very brief rumor when it first was revealed that it was going to come out online, that maybe the online version was actually going to be only a minute. It was going to be like a shorter version, but that turned out not to be true. Thank God for those of us who didn't have movie theaters nearby. But yeah, it was awesome. I dug it. But well, yeah, you know what? Let's just talk about the trailer. So yeah, it starts off with this fade in to a desert scene, which I guess we can assume is Tatooine, but I guess it could be anywhere. And then you suddenly see John Boyega's character pop on the screen, and he's in stormtrooper armor. Of course, he doesn't have a helmet on. He looks like he's been through a lot.
Clearly in distress.
Yeah, in distress. The camera kind of pans around, so you get a kind of a backside view of his armor, which you can tell it's kind of a modernized look at the armor. The circuitry panel, whatever that's called on the back, doesn't look really the same. It's still got the circle and a couple lines, but it's kind of like, it's smooth into the back plate. What do you guys think is going on there? Like in terms of who do you think John Boyega is playing in this film? Do you think he's a stormtrooper? Do you think he's somebody wearing stormtrooper armor? You think he's a Jedi? Like any ideas? I mean, obviously we're all just speculating, but Bobby, any thoughts?
Well, see, now that's the thing. It's like, I don't know where to go with it exactly, because since I've read a lot of Star Wars news online, they have speculation, and I don't know how much their speculation could be in fact true based on stuff that they had speculated previous to the trailer. And now after seeing the trailer, some of those things look like they could make sense. So that kind of informs my opinion, and I don't know if I should say, because it could be spoilerish, kind of. So,
well, I would say that nobody really knows anything, I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, my opinion is, yeah, there's a lot of websites out there that are speculating just like we're about to do. But really, it's speculation. And maybe some people have sources that are telling them something.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. But to me, we're all just
shooting in the dark.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
it has been it has been somewhat annoying to me. Some of the outlets I've read that have kind of said things like they feel like, oh yeah, this is what's going on. I'm like, you don't know. I'm like, this could be anything. I'm like, just because he's in stormtrooper armor, going with this example, like he could be, somebody, of course, wearing it just like they did in A New Hope to get something done. He could be a stormtrooper that is now suddenly like, hey, I don't want to be a stormtrooper anymore, and I want to do something different with my life. Like, there's so many, so many different things could be going on. But sorry, Michelle, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say there's so many storylines that have been written off from the point of the last one on forward, and they all go in kind of little different directions, and so it's like you can pull from any of the storylines and go with them. But I think the main one that a lot of the outlets are kind of saying is that he's going to be one of a trifecta of the good main guys that is going to happen, but we don't know for sure. But it could go any way. It could just be a random dude that, like you said, could just be just be lost and trying to figure out his way, and they just showed him for funsies just to get us all kind of amped up and going. Or he could be a legit man that we need to start paying attention to.
Well, we know he's a major character. That we know. I mean, John Boyega is definitely a major role in the film. So this isn't going to just be some random character we see like an extra, But we don't know what's going on with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the rumors are that it's a guy that signed up to be a stormtrooper and winds up changing his mentality phases possibly at the end of the day.
Right. But what do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, well, to me, it definitely looks like someone that's not in the situation that he's familiar with, and he is in distress for sure. So to me, it's like, to see a stormtrooper without their helmet, for one, is just, I mean, aside from Jango, like being the clone of all the stormtroopers, I don't know that I've ever seen, I can't remember ever seeing a stormtrooper without their helmet on.
I don't think you ever see one.
That is unique in and of itself, and that just shows you a whole lot. And it has so many implications. Like, okay, at what point did they stop using clones and start having regular recruitment? And when is he supposed to have been, stranded, and why? So it definitely looks like he's in a situation that is completely unfamiliar to him. And so I'm thinking, when you see part of the next scene and it looks like there's a ship full of stormtroopers that are about ready to land or descend upon the planet, and I'm assuming it's the same planet he's on, it almost looks like they're after him in a way.
Yeah, maybe. So, Michelle, are you going with the theory that you already kind of mentioned? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going with the theory that, okay, so from what I can see, and which is not much, Tatooine, maybe something went down and he was injured and they were just leaving him behind, and he wakes up and he's just stuck in the middle of the sands, and now he's just trying to put his head on straight and figure out what's going on. And I mean, the main gossip that's happening is that, he signed up to be a stormtrooper because I guess they're not all going to be the clones as we've known them to be, and that people can just sign up to be part of the that area, and that maybe he might be having a slight change of thought. Maybe that isn't happening in that moment, but character-wise, that he might be changing, and that he might be slightly, force sensitive, I guess is the best way to say. Maybe that's the rumor on the street.
Right.
But yeah, he definitely is in distress, and he's definitely like in the middle of nowhere, and he's definitely going, what the blankety blank am I doing out here in the middle of sand dunes? So it definitely it draws you in immediately. That trailer like just sucks you into it. What's going on? What's happening? There's a guy in the middle of sand. Nothing's happening.
Well, it definitely appears from the trailer, and mainly from another shot in the trailer that we'll get to in a little bit. The shot of the stormtroopers on some vehicle about to go somewhere. The one shot of the stormtroopers, it definitely looks like you have stormtroopers in heights. So you're not dealing with clone troopers.
Right.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been 3 decades since, right? I mean, it's been 3 decades since Return of the Jedi, I think, is what's going on with this film.
Yeah, I think it was recurrent.
It's supposed to be 3 decades, and, it would make sense that they've just gone away from, we're cloning people, and they just recruit, and yeah. So that seems to be what's going on. I don't know. For me, I kind of like the idea that he is actually a stormtrooper, but he, does kind of decide to go a different route in the film. But, I could see that maybe he's a Jedi or somebody else that is wearing stormtrooper armor just to, infiltrate something, It could be.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's possible.
What would make that really interesting would be like if he was trained by Luke and Luke had him in that role to be infiltrating the stormtroopers and to see what's going on there, just like he's just a young Padawan kind of thing.
Right.
But what makes that sort of crazy too is just that the whole idea that the Empire would still be around in some form, that they didn't just disintegrate and disappear after Return of the Jedi, which you almost are kind of led to believe when they defeat the Emperor and Vader dies. You just assume that
the Empire
crumbles.
Right.
Yeah, but that may not have.
And
been
it may have fallen, and then maybe somebody in there was like a small faction of the Empire that kind of stuck around in some part of the galaxy, and then they kind of came back in recent years. Yeah, who knows?
They get a new Sith Lord to team up with, and it all just takes off. You never know.
We don't know. Or maybe it really didn't quite fall like we thought at the end of Return of the Jedi. But yeah, that's definitely the indication that you're given at the end of Episode 6 that it's over. Like, they won, Rebels win, galaxy,
Death Star blown up,
lives happily ever after. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not. I think the next shot in the film was the shot of that new droid, whatever basketball droid is, or I don't know what you want to call it, ball droid. It was funny. The first time I watched it, I almost thought it was just like the head of a droid was for some reason caught on top of a ball. But then I watched it again. I'm like, oh no, that's the whole droid. But because I was watching it in my car, like at a red light. All right, don't give me shit. Like, I'm seriously driving away from the movie theater, still trying to get this thing to work. Trust me, I was being safe. This is the one time I'm like begging for a red light. I'm like, please, I want a red light. I want to watch this. And
longest red light ever, please.
I know. I finally got a red light. I'm like, thank God. So I can sit here for a second, and I watch it on my phone, and it's streaming like crap. I'm like, come on, just play the whole fucking thing. Anyway, so yeah, there's a funky droid, and yeah, I've heard plenty of different opinions on this thing, but I mean, it's just a shot of a droid to me. I think it looks cool. I mean, it's, perfectly believable. And I like, it's your first real effect shot that we've seen in the trailer, and it looks good.
Well, William Shatner kind of put his 2 cents in on this on Facebook, I saw.
Really?
Yeah, William Shatner.
All right.
God bless the Shat.
What did Shatner have to say?
So Shatner says, so the era of hating Jar Jar is about at an end. ...
Yeah.
With a photo of the new droid. Whether or not that's true or not, we all don't know. Shatner's not really in this series.
Can't see it possibly being that bad, but
right. And then I know what the rumor on the street is about the droid and what the droid's capabilities are, which is amazing if that's true.
Yeah, and that's
again, rumors on the street.
Rumor,
It's all rumor. It's all rumor and speculation. We're all having a good time. But what I did notice was that in the background of the droid, there are definitely pod racers.
That's what they look like.
It looks like pod racers. Whether or not they are working pod racers or dead pod racers, there's definitely pod racers, which leads to where's the droid at? So we can all kind of piece together that he could be on the planet that is now escaping my memory, where Anakin was. Yes, Tatooine. So where Anakin was born and raised, where Anakin was raised. But I mean, that was interesting. And I've seen the trailer way too many times already. But I didn't even pick up on that until like probably the third time I watched the trailer, and I was like, "Oh, that looks like a pod racer in the background. That's kind of cool." So that intrigued me more than the actual robot itself, the actual droid.
Right.
So,
any opinions on Ball Droid, Bobby?
I just, I don't know. I not much other than I was like, when it popped on screen, I was like, "Oh, that's different," and it just was so quick. So I didn't really form too much of an opinion about it, other than it was a different sort of I guess, design for a droid that we hadn't seen before. I mean, I guess you could kind of say you might get that from the ones that were in the prequels, the ones that would roll and then they'd have like those claw kind of hands
with the turrets.
And, with the force fields.
Yeah.
I forget what they were called, but they kind of rolled around too. So right. I guess there could be something of that in there, but. Aside from that, no, I didn't really have too much of an opinion, other than I thought it was kind of cool. I didn't hate on it or anything.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I've seen so much hate about it, and I'm like, really? Like, what's so unbelievable? Like, what's so stupid about it? I mean, it's the one thing in the trailer that indicates that, like all Star Wars films, maybe the prequels were worse about this, but all Star Wars films had humor in them. Definitely appeased to kids here and there. And I mean, this is like an indication in the trailer, like, hey, it's not going to be all seriousness. There's going to be some fun and games going on in the trilogy or these new films, and that makes sense. I would expect that. So I don't think it's that bad. I think, and again, in terms of the effects of the shot, I think it looks pretty cool. It looks good. So I'm not really hating on it either. Our next shot was of those stormtroopers that we talked about earlier. We had seen the look of the helmet already online. A picture leaked online. I forget how many weeks or months ago. It's been a while. So indeed, they do look like what we saw. Otherwise, pretty much the stormtrooper outfit, from what we can see, looks pretty much the same. We get a shot of a blaster that looks pretty similar to what they use in previous films. And then the shot ends with the opening of like a cargo door. You don't really kind of see what's going on in the darkness. But obviously, I guess they've landed somewhere. Anything you guys take away from this shot, Michelle?
I thought with the helmets, with the redesign of the helmets, because originally it was just kind of like with the mouthpiece, it was more like two lines just kind of frowning, and now it kind of draws up towards the eyes a little bit.
Yeah,
and it gives you kind of like, are they smiling? Are they happy?
Are they happy?
Or are they crying? Are they crying? I mean, that's what I thought. I initially thought, well, are they happy or are they sad? Because it's just weird seeing the line go from the edge of the, I guess, lips you could call them, going up towards the edge of their eyes. It looks like it's either a smile or a tear happening from the edge of their eyes down to their lips. I don't really know. But outside of that, the end, when it opens up and all you see is the door opening, the cargo door opening, and then the dust ball. I mean, they could be landing anywhere. Are they landing at Tatooine to attack somewhere and the dust is coming up from the sand naturally? Or did they like drop something to create a cover for themselves before they went out to ambush whatever? I mean, it's definitely an ambush, clearly. I just don't think if it was just them landing, they wouldn't have their guns at the ready and kind of in that formation and charged up. But it definitely starts drawing questions. I mean, this teaser trailer just keeps you asking. I like it.
Any thoughts, Bobby?
Just that I thought they looked very shiny and kind of nice.
Shiny and nice.
They did. They were very shiny and nice. And no, I thought that they kind of just looked imposing, because just to see that many of them in such a confined space, they look like they mean business, and they don't look like the ones that are just sort of red shirts. I mean, they probably will be, but they don't look like they would just get picked off so easily like they normally do. I don't know. They just look specially trained and ready to go, more so than normal stormtroopers look.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look of the helmet. I like that, with these new films, he's not just going to go with plain old classic looks. It makes sense after 30 years that things have been tweaked and changed, and I'm glad that they're kind of going down that road. I mean, for me, that's really all you can take away from it is, I guess, a true official look at what the new Stormtrooper armor looks like. So I dig it. I like it. I like that they're doing something different. The next shot in the trailer was our first shot at Daisy Ridley's character. Of course, we don't know who she is. You see her jumping onto a shuttle of some kind, something we've never seen before, some hover bike looking thing with this huge front end. It's weird looking. Many people have been quick to point out that there's this staff on the side of this hovercraft, that part of it at the end has a very similar look to a lightsaber. I don't know if I'm buying into that really means anything, but it does have a similar look when you can compare it to a lot of lightsabers. But yeah, it's attached to a long staff that kind of looks a lot like a Tusken Raider type of weapon. But any thoughts on this shot, Bobby?
Not much more than what you said. I mean, I didn't realize that was Daisy until I sort of looked it up. Yeah. And then beyond that, it was so quick, other than just noticing that the type of vehicle she was on was different. I didn't get too much from it. So I just was like, this is another new character that I haven't seen before. And this is another design for a vehicle I haven't seen before. But it operated in the same sort of way that like a speeder or like the Luke's vehicle from A New Hope was.
Right.
And so I just was still taking it all in and just like, okay, this is something new. It's something different, and just still going with it. So I didn't take any like minutia detail from it though.
Right. Any thoughts about it, Michelle?
I mean, initially my first gut reaction was, oh, it's like a really weird makeshift speeder. Like if you were to take just whatever you can get your hands on to make something that would go really fast and be like a speeder, that's kind of what it looks like to me. But as soon as I saw the girl, like I just started having like crazy visions of lineage of who could this girl be. I've got my own theories, and the internet's kind of confirming some of mine. But I got excited because I was like, oh, she's got to be blood of somebody that we love. She's got to be somebody's kin. That girl's going to be special. Yeah,
that's been kind of a rumor that's been going around.
I'm pretty sure.
With her possibly being related to Han Solo or, Leia. And I could see that. But, yeah, it was a pretty cool shot, seeing her, go away on her hover bike. I didn't really have any thoughts on it. It was just cool. Our next shot was our first look at Oscar Isaac's character, which, like I said, I was watching this on a phone. I didn't even realize that was Oscar Isaac when I first watched it. I think it was like the second or third viewing. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was just some random guy
as
a
rebel pilot. It's the worst lighting ever.
But yeah, it's a shot of the X-Wings going over the water. The X-Wings kind of looked a little tweaked, a little different than they looked in the past, but they pretty much had the same design. It was a pretty cool shot. it was another major effect shot in the trailer that again looked really cool. I have to say it's the look of it has a very similar look of kind of the stuff we've seen in the Star Trek films, and I'm all for that. It looks badass. So yeah, any thoughts, guys? Michelle?
I mean, the X-Wings, they had kind of their wings open in a fighting formation, so it was definitely more like an attack kind of going on.
Yeah.
Because I know when they're not ready to like let's do a battle kind of thing, they're a little more closed, but those were definitely open and ready to go into attack, into battle for certain. Just looking at that, and I just thought they looked really nice, really streamlined, really awesome. And I saw the guy, and he doesn't look like. I was like, oh, is this Wedge's kid? This is Wedge's grandson or his kid? That'd be amazing. Like, let's tie it all together. Let's bring in more lineage from the family, and we'll just bring it. It's all one big happy family that hangs out together all the time, and we all are fighting the rebel. We're the rebel cause, and
right.
That'd be kind of neat. I don't know.
Any thoughts, Bobby?
Yeah, just like you said, it's just the beauty of the shot of them skimming the water, being right above the water is just, it just looks so nice. And that formation was just, it's so rare. And that's when we talk about another shot that happens later on towards the end. It's so rare that you really get to see big ships planet side, especially so low to the ground. They're usually in space battling, so you lose sight of the scope of them in that sense. And just seeing them so low and just doing just a little flyby, it just was kind of cool. I just was like, I don't know, I was just really captured by it. And that was really the moment that hit me that this was Star Wars. Because before that, you see, John Boyega, and he's in a stormtrooper outfit, and then you see the stormtroopers, but that ship, that X-Wing, is so iconic, and seeing it again and within this context, it was just like, oh yeah, we're back. And this is what I was really starting to feel like, here we go, this is Star Wars. Now I'm seeing like a rebel pilot and seeing them in this formation, and it's starting to all feel so familiar now.
Yeah, it was a badass shot. I liked it. The next shot in the trailer was this hooded, mysterious person walking through a forest. Looks like a snowy forest at night. He reveals a dark red or a red lightsaber. And we could probably talk about the lightsaber for a good hour or so. Or at least a lot of, the stuff I've read about this lightsaber, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure we all have. It's like, It's like, okay, come on, people. It's a lightsaber. Like, yeah, it looks a little different, but let's all calm down. I mean, I'm mainly saying that in reaction to the people that just find it like, why does it look like this? And, I'm like, seriously? Like, come on. Anyway. So yeah, the lightsaber doesn't look like a typical lightsaber, not just because of the crossguard pieces on it that kind of eject out the sides, but it doesn't look clean. It's got this kind of fiery look to it. Any thoughts on what's going on here, Bobby?
Not much, other than the fact that when I first saw it, just seeing someone robed and looking like a Sith, that's sort of coming, that there has to be that in the film. And then as soon as the lightsaber went up and the cross parts came out, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then immediately I thought, but what's the use for that? And then it just sort of like really an immediate follow-up to it. And as I thought about it, and as you see it online, and people said, well, if you're battling and then someone kind of comes with a downstroke, you could be able to use the crossbar to sort of block it. But I mean, I guess that's true. But to me, the thought is that, well, they never seemed to need one of those before. Why would anyone need one now, as opposed to everybody else fighting all these other battles through all these other years and not having had to need one? So I don't know until I see it in context why someone would design that, other than if maybe they make use of it in more of a way than someone else has in the past. But other than that, just for design wise, I was like, okay, it's something different and cool. And JJ's messing around with things, and why not? Last series we got a bow staff that was like a lightsaber. So why not mess around with the design a little bit?
Right, why not? Any thoughts, Michelle?
An initial first reaction of seeing it was I was like, yes, there's going to be another Sith. Thank goodness. That was my initial gut reaction was there's going to be another Sith. Thank goodness. I'm so excited. And my other thought was, wow, that is a really tall human being. I mean, it's cloaked, but in comparison to the trees that the person was kind of walking amongst, I was like, that's a very tall person. That's not somebody who's an average height person. That's going to be interesting. And I've got really awkward, crazy theories about who this person is going to be. I've got mainstream theories, and I've got off and left field theories about who this person is. Mainstream theories? I've got internet buzz theories, and I've got my own personal, this would be so cool if this was this person, but it's probably not, but this is my own crazy weird dream that I live in. But I do like the cross guards that are on it, the shield guards, I think.
Right.
It's just something new. It's like having the crossbow that we had, the bow staff, and now having this, it's just something new. It's something different, and it's not just the same old lightsaber. It's them expanding upon what it can do in its uses. And I think that's awesome. I don't know, just filled me with excitement and happiness.
Yeah, I think the biggest speculation going around is that this is probably Adam Driver's character, which, could be or couldn't be. I would say it probably is, but we also don't know if it's the character of the narration we're hearing throughout the trailer, which we haven't even gotten to yet. But I dig the look of the saber. I like that just because it looks different. Again, it could be any number of reasons why it looks the way it does, and I'm not even talking about the cross guard. Just the fiery look about it. Maybe this is a guy that had to kind of figure out how to make this on his own, and he's not well trained in making a lightsaber, and he just kind of figured it out, and it's not as sleek as maybe it should, or who knows. But it's cool. I like it. Yeah. And then, of course, that the trailer ends with the big shots or scene of the Millennium Falcon battling with some TIE fighters on, it looks like Tatooine. I say battling, doesn't look that you see any shots of the Falcon actually shooting back at them. You do see that the dish on it has been replaced, which makes sense since it was destroyed in Return of the Jedi. Now it's got a square rectangular shape to it, not the circle that we all know and love. But it was a badass effect shot. I love the contrails. The contrails are cool. Everything about it. It looks awesome.
The lens flare.
Yeah, the iconic J.J. Abrams lens flares. Which I was never really a hater on. There's a lot of haters about that, and I actually dug that look about Star Trek. But I thought it was cool. Any thoughts, guys? Bobby?
Yeah, again, that's what I was saying from before, is when you see the Millennium Falcon and all that it implies, you just really feel like this universe is there, because that's what's missing in the prequels is that, you have some of the characters that you know of or that you've seen before, like a Yoda, and just knowing who Darth Vader is or will become as Anakin. You get some of the sense, but you don't have the familiar vehicles and things that you grew up with. And when you see it in this movie, it really hits home the fact that we're kind of going back home again. We're going back to seeing the originals and seeing what's happened to them and what's going to be taking place within this new frame. So it was just it gave me chills seeing the Millennium Falcon again. And seeing it go in, like you said, the contrails, and just seeing the TIE fighters there. And it was just for me, the whole thing was just it felt like this movie would be coming out a couple years later than Return of the Jedi, as if it was that time frame in the 80s. Right. Because other than being a little more sort of touched up and looking a little better, it really felt like it was in place. This just could have came out directly after Return of the Jedi came out.
Right,
so
right.
it just, I was very happy with that, seeing that final shot. But it was like, I know a lot of people maybe were expecting or hoping to see some of the original cast. And for me, this was perfect, them setting up the new people and showing you a little taste of them, because you know you're going to get the shots of them. And as a matter of fact, I've been having an internal debate upon whether or not I'll watch any more trailers or previews from here on out, because you already know all those things are coming, and so
there is no way. There's no way. I'm not. There's no way you'll be able to hold off. I'm not even saying for myself. I don't know, man. I don't think you can do it.
I literally could. I know I could. It's just a matter of, I know maybe I want to see at least one more just to see something else. But I know I could literally not see anything else and be okay. But I don't know if I could avoid it. I would be okay too,
but I don't think you can avoid it.
Yeah, I don't know if I could specifically avoid it, like if I was someplace where I couldn't sort of get away from it. Other than that, I could probably move past it and just wait.
It would be an interesting challenge, and it would be nice to be able to see this new Star Wars film and having only seen this teaser and having almost no expectations about what's going on, but to be able to keep away from the marketing machine that will be Star Wars as this gets close, and not seeing commercials like as you're watching television, and it would be tough, man. And even as I was like, if I were like DVRing stuff and I'm fast forwarding through the commercials and I could tell I was fast forwarding through some Star Wars commercial, it would eat away at me that I'm like, oh God, I want to stop so badly. I so want to see what's going on. But that would be tough, dude.
See, I think it'd be easier for me in that respect, because I already would have it set in my mind. Look, I'm waiting to see it all laid out, and I've seen something at least. There's no way I could have gone without seeing anything. So I couldn't have gone without seeing the teaser. But having seen the teaser, I know I could go the rest of the way and not see anything else.
Yeah.
But more than likely, I'll at least watch just the official first trailer, and then that's it.
That'll be it.
Yeah.
Well, any thoughts, Michelle, on the Millennium Falcon stuff? Or?
Well, I mean, like, as far as like the trailers and stuff go, I might be able to live up to that challenge. I feel like I could probably do it. Having said that, I'm not going to.
Yeah, no.
I'm totally going to see this. But my hope is that I'm hoping that they don't show too many of our old school cast. I'm really hoping that they can really keep that just to the movie. I want the element of surprise of seeing Han Solo come up on screen finally, and seeing Princess Leia and seeing Luke. Like, I don't want any of that in any of the future trailers. I really want to go into the theater and just be like, oh, finally, it's Han, and just have that childlike moment of saying, finally, we've gotten to my favorite character. And I haven't seen what he looks like in any of the trailers, and I haven't seen him on any of the random photos online. I just want to go in with just pure eyes to see those original characters, granted aged, but I'm looking forward to that moment in that film so badly, and that's exciting for me. But as far as the Millennium Falcon goes, I got so giddy when I saw that. That's my childhood on the screen. That was like just jumping right back into where the last one's laid off at. And like Bobby was saying, it just feels like, yeah, that could just have picked up a few years after in the late 80s, and we could have just jumped right back into it. And the Millennium Falcon was a lot cleaner. It was clean, and then it was a little more streamlined with the new satellite on and everything. But I noticed there was a random blip of red on it. And I don't know if maybe they branded it with the Rebel Alliance insignia or not, but I did see some random red kind of flash on there. It was very small and you can't really make it out, but that would be interesting because, Han really didn't want to say he was with the Rebel Alliance, and he didn't want to be confirmed with them. And so to see that maybe possibly on the Millennium Falcon shows a transition of the times. Things have changed a little bit, and now it's officially in there, but I don't know. I got very excited. It just made me feel like a kid. I just felt like I was transported back to childhood. That was official for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. We haven't touched on the narrator. We hear a narrator at the beginning and I guess kind of the end of the trailer. And HitFix says they know who it is. They have confirmation that it is Andy Serkis that is doing the voice of the narration. A lot of the speculation going around is that it's Benedict Cumberbatch, which is a actor that is not tied to the film, an actor that has been speculated about being in the film for a long time. It's not out of the realm of possibility that Abrams has been hiding him from us, that, hey, it's J.J. Abrams. And I have to say, you watch that trailer, and that first line he delivers, man, it sounds like Benedict Cumberbatch. It really does. I fully believe if indeed HitFix, has got confirmation that this is Andy Serkis, I believe it's Andy Serkis. Cool. But it does sound a lot like him. So I get why I think a lot of people are like, no, there's no way. That's got to be Benedict Cumberbatch. I can understand why everyone won't give that up. Though I'd like to think, I really don't believe he's in the film, but maybe we're wrong. Any thoughts, Bobby?
No, I know that not only HitFix, but I think Collider may have also
confirmed it.
Confirmed, that it was Andy Serkis. But I couldn't place it when I heard the narration,
right?
And I wasn't for sure if it was someone I knew or if it was someone that was brand new and just to the series. So I was just more focused in on what they were saying rather than who was saying it, and trying to figure out if it was a character within the film or just some like narration being done by someone just sort of outside, just talking about the Force and everything.
Yeah.
So I would have to really go back and listen to pick up, because I have a hard time trying to say, oh, that definitely sounds like Benedict to me, or that sounds like Andy Serkis to me, because they can do different things with their voices.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me to be able to say, yep, that's him, I wouldn't be able to, because I know that they can do, like when I listen to Smaug, I don't necessarily say, oh, yeah, that's Benedict, and he's just got something on his voice, for effect. But so for me, it was just like I wasn't trying to discern who it was. I was just more focused in on the message of what they were saying.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Michelle?
No, I agree with Bobby. I was definitely just trying to listen to actually what was being said instead of whom was possibly saying it. And yeah, when you listen to it, the first line that gets delivered, it could totally be Benedict. But it could be Andy. It's just done in a different depth of vocal range that could be done by Benedict and can also be done by Andy. The man's very talented, and he can manipulate his voice into different variable things. So, and as you continue, he kind of talks a little more later, especially when like the Sith person comes up. He talks during that portion, and you can kind of hear. I felt like by that point I was like, it's getting away from the Benedict idea a little bit. And I have a hard time. JJ is full of surprises. God bless him. And that's what's great about his films. But I'm really hoping that he keeps Benedict more in the Star Trek aspect as a villain than to pull him into, say, a villain aspect in Star Wars. I think it would be great if it was Andy. I'm hoping it is Andy because I'd like to keep the two separate as much as I love both of them.
Well, it appears to be the case.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm really...
These outlets are to be believed.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's true.
Well, with that said, I think we're going to have to move on.
Well, you did forget to mention one part of the trailer.
What's that?
Hello, the Star Wars crawl and the Force Awakens and the music coming on. How could you forget that?
Well, what's to say about it? I mean,
well, it ties it all.
I will say, I again, when it comes to people feeling the need to nitpick everything, one of the things I've seen a couple like complaints about, like with the logo. I think I read somebody like compared it to look like somebody just made it in After Effects, like a fan made it in After Effects. I'm like, what looks so bad about it? It looks fine. And I'm like, it's the Star Wars logo, the typical floating out from the screen into the distance kind of look. I mean, what do you want? Like, what do you need it to do?
Yeah, I didn't even hear anybody complaining about that.
I know. It's ridiculousness. Like, I don't know. I guess I read ridiculous people. But
well, it's crazy, too, because I don't know anything in the history of history that is like that will get as much complaints and as many breakdowns as this trailer. I mean, has anything ever been broken down and scrutinized second by second as much as this trailer has? I don't recall anything.
No,
not a trailer.
No, not especially not a a preview trailer, just a quick teaser trailer. I've never seen teaser trailers even broken down to this nth degree that we have literally just done, and almost every internet website I've seen in the past 48 hours has done.
Yeah.
So, no,
nothing like this.
No.
My last thought I'll say about the trailer, and the only reason I say this is just to put it out there, but before I even say it, I'll say, look, I'm excited about Star Wars. I like J.J. Abrams. I like his work. I think this is going to be a good film. At least I hope it is. The only thing I'll say is I have to remember back to the first time I saw the Phantom Menace trailer. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything good about all three of those prequels, it's the trailers.
The trailer.
Those trailers were excellent. And that first Phantom Menace trailer, man, I watched that shit a million times, and I loved it. And I'm like, man, this is going to be the most amazing thing ever. And we all know how the prequel went. And I really don't see that happening here. I can't believe that this is going to be bad. Not only did J.J. Abrams write this, but he wrote it with Lawrence Kasdan, so that makes me even more confident that this is going to be a good script he's working with. I think it's going to be good, but I still do think back to you never know. It's a year away, and anything could happen when this film comes out.
I'm excited because I think it's just the cast alone, between JJ being the director and the writer, I mean, that I think is a good note already. But I think just kind of having not so big of names in it, I think is really going to help pull it around. It's got Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones, and I think that's really awesome. It's got what's his name that I can never pronounce correctly, Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall Gleeson, I think
right.
it is. Yeah.
I mean, for me, he's a Weasley, but he'll always be a Weasley to me. But I mean, I love that it's got people that have done little things here and there, but they're not very large names, just like the original cast. Just had done bits and pieces a little here and there, and that's exciting to me. I think the whole thing, I'm excited. There's really no other word other than excited to describe the feeling that I have about this trailer and about this movie that's coming out. It's good news. It's good news.
Any final thoughts, Bobby, before we move on?
Just that it's finally here in the realization that we've gotten something from Star Wars. So now we can kind of all let out that collective sigh to where we've had that pent up waiting of when are we going to finally see something? When are we finally going to see something? Now we've seen something. So now it's just you have to settle in and wait for the long haul until next December before we can actually get it all realized.
Right. Yep. It's going to be a while.
Kind of like Dave with the Superman v Batman thing.
Waiting
forever.
That's a ways off. It's even farther off than this.
I know.
Waiting forever.
Don't get me started with that one.
Waiting. I
can only hope that a year away from that film, we might actually get a glimpse. Will we in March? Probably not. But it's probably going to be Comic-Con. But if in March we actually got a first real little teaser trailer, that would be amazing.
Just twisting the knife, little Dave. That's
it's cool.
all.
It's fine. Whatever. You know what? With that, I'm going to move on. We have a little bit of other Star Wars news I want to talk about, but not yet. And hopefully we have time to get to it because I do really want to talk about it. But while we're on the subject of trailers, this wasn't the only trailer that came out this week. We got a Jurassic World trailer this week.
That little thing. I kind of forgot about that.
It's been completely overshadowed by Star Wars, and everyone, even though they flipped out about it when it first came out, for the most part, people other than Michelle here is freaking out over here. Most people have just forgotten it already. Not really, but it was going to come out. At least everything I read, it was going to come out Friday. But then I also, everyone's like, "Oh, it's 2 days early." I'm like, "Isn't it 3 days early?" But whatever. It came out on Tuesday.
Yeah, the plan was it was going to be released Thursday evening during prime time Thanksgiving football. It was supposed to be released then officially. But I guess 2 days later they said, "You know what? Let's just put it on the internet, and then we'll do the official television broadcast premiere as Thursday." And that's what they decided to do. And so, I mean, my little heart skipped a beat Thursday morning when I turned my computer on and I saw that was what was happening. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's 2 days early!" So Yeah. Oh, by the way, I love Jurassic Park. Love Jurassic Park. The books, the movies. I love it. They're amazing.
So you like all three films?
Oh, okay. Let's correct.
We won't get too deep into this, but
I love the first movie. As cheesy moments as there are in there, I love the first movie.
You're making it sound like most people don't like the first one.
Some people don't. They think it's just so silly, and I love it. It has a special. I know it's a special place in my heart. The second two, they're special in their own ways. But my little heart just skipped a beat when I saw that they released the trailer early, and I've been dying literally for over a year to see any glimmer of anything. So every time a photo would get leaked online, I would pounce on it and analyze every frame of that photo to the nth degree. And to see a full trailer put together just made me super happy for Thanksgiving. I was like, it's going to be a good year.
So you're obviously pleased with the trailer.
I am.
Bobby, what'd you think of the Jurassic World trailer?
Okay, well, I do love Jurassic Park, and I wouldn't say I was as enthusiastic as Michelle was coming away from it. For me, it was like I saw it and I immediately thought, yeah, that looks like a Jurassic Park movie, and I didn't think of it in a bad way. I just thought, okay, it looks like it should be good because it looks familiar in the way that there's that sort of mix of the old and something new being done, but it didn't like get me overly excited and pumped for it. I want to see it definitely, but it also is irritating in some of the aspect of like the plot when they get into it a little bit, and it's like you just already see that it's a recipe for disaster, and how does this person not see that it's going to get out of control by creating some sort of dinosaur that doesn't exist? So it's like one of those sort of things where you want to shake the person and be like, no, don't do this, you stupid. But you can't because it's just a movie, and you're just like, you got to go along for the ride. But that being said, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and it looks like it's going to be good. So it just did a really good job in the sense of making me feel comfortable enough that this is another Jurassic Park film and not something that's just going to be a sort of derivative of it and lesser quality or lesser version of it. It looks like it should still be able to keep a better standard than the last couple did.
Yeah, I would agree that it looks like it's going to be better than the last two. To recap for me, I loved the first Jurassic Park. Sorry, I thought it was a great film. The second film is one of the very, very few Steven Spielberg films that I can say I don't like. He is a director that pretty much everything he makes is pretty great, but that, and I'm trying to think of the other one, but yeah, that one is one of like two films of his that I don't care for. It's not very good in my opinion. And the third one is the third one. I mean, for me, when I saw the third one, it was just like my expectations were so low that part of me was like, yeah, it's fine. It's nothing great, but whatever. I really had high expectations for Lost World. So for that one, I was just like, really, Spielberg? Like, what the hell is this? Like, I was not a fan.
Yeah, that was a big low for Spielberg, I think. I mean, and I love Spielberg to a point that I'm almost like Dawson from Dawson's Creek. Like, I love Steven Spielberg, but yeah, that was a very
Dawson's
low.
Creek. What's that?
That was my high school.
What kind of reference is that?
That was my high school years. But
yeah, this trailer, it looks good. There's things about the trailer that I question, but I don't question too much because I have a feeling it'll look better when the actual film comes out, and that's the CG in it. The CG of the dinosaurs does look a little shaky and not the best, but I get the feeling that they're probably not really polished yet, and they'll probably look better when the final product comes out. In fact, even the director, Colin Trevorrow, has already talked about the gate scene, which you do see in the trailer, which apparently was only made for that trailer. And it's a fully fake effects gate that actually, I guess, in the film, it's going to be a real gate, the real deal. So Yeah, other than that, I did have the same reaction too, like you said, Bobby, with, the problem in this film that creates all the drama. It is kind of like, as soon as you in the trailer, you start hearing her talk about, oh, we've done it, we made this other dinosaur, and you just kind of eye roll a little bit, like, okay, really? Like this is almost too obvious. But it looks good. It's going to be interesting to see Chris Pratt in a role that, at least it appears, that he's not going to really be comic relief at all. I'm not, I'm sure he'll probably throw some jokes in there here and there, and a kind of Han Solo maybe kind of fashion or something. But for the most part, he looks like he's kind of way more serious than normal here. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, I like the director, Colin Trevorrow, Safety Not Guaranteed. I love that movie. So hopefully this is a good flick. Hopefully it brings Jurassic Park back from the places it went in 2 and 3.
I'm definitely hoping so. The books and the first movie just hold such a special place in my heart. And I mean, what I like about this is knowing that they are picking up exactly 22 years from where the first one left off. They're picking up in time with the first one, which is great. So what you can tell already is that, not that I know who they are exactly, but Bryce Dallas Howard's character is definitely honing in on the character of John Hammond. She's going, oh, well, John didn't have it right, but I've figured out the missing puzzle piece, and I'm going to make this perfect. And now I can create additional dinosaurs that we're going to genetically modify. And you can tell she's getting that God complex. And I love seeing that, because you see these people just build themselves up, and then everything goes wrong. And then you slowly see them fall to pieces and realizing they didn't have it. They were wrong, they missed the mark, and they've got to own up to it, which is what happened in the first one. John Hammond's character has this epiphany of, I was wrong, I cannot control this, life will find a way, as it says. And I think that's what's going to happen with this one, clearly, is Bryce Dallas Howard's character says, nope, I got it. I figured out where John Hammond went wrong. I can do better. And then she's going to fail epically, and it's going to be awesome. And Chris Pratt will be there to help pick up the pieces and save people's lives and work it all out. And God bless Chris Pratt. It's the year of Chris Pratt. That man's everywhere right now, and
things have worked out well for him.
They have, let me tell you.
Yeah, but he's doing all right.
Yeah, he's not feeling any pain for sure. But I mean, I've got theories already myself, just based on the trailer, of what this new genetically enhanced dinosaur is. I'm really hoping it's some kind of version of a Velociraptor T-Rex morphing together. I mean, they say in the trailer it jumped 40 feet, and Velociraptors are known to be major jumpers. And for it to be as tall as it is, to make 40 feet, it would have to have some kind of a pull-in with the T-Rex. And there's a third something I'm sure is probably thrown in there to make this just the dino of all dinos. I'm just geeking out. I'm just geeking out about the whole thing. I'm a big
not
dino
to say
nerd.
I wouldn't believe the that could be what the hybrid is. I could totally see that. To me, that's maybe a somewhat sad reality that could be it, just because what the fuck are you thinking that you're like, well, let's see, I'm going to mix some dinosaurs together. What could I possibly mix? That would be a great choice. T-Rex and a Velociraptor. That sounds perfect.
But again, that's a testament to Bryce Dallas Howard's character that she's going to be. She thinks she's figured out where John Hammond went wrong.
Yeah.
She's got the God complex. And this is what I think is happening, is she's like, nope, I got this figured out. So we're going to meld the craziest from this end and the craziest from this end, and we're going to make one big bad dino, because I can control the dino and I figured out the key, but she hasn't. She's wrong.
Right.
And it's funny though, is like Dave is saying, the fact that that's where you start. Like, maybe that's where you end, I mean, why not try something like a brontosaurus and something, something that's more docile and that wouldn't harm too many things, and, go with that first to see if that works out. And then you maybe build up to the thing that could probably kill everything
like
else.
A brontosaurus and something that's in the water that only eats plankton. Like, let's put that together. No, and that's where
Loch Ness monster.
that's where this whole God complex comes from. That was John Hammond's issue in the first film. That was the whole problem that started this whole thing, and I think that's She's like, why start simple? Let's go big. Let's do this because I've got this all under control, and I think that's where she's going. She's lighting it up. Why not?
Interesting to see what it actually looks like.
You know, for me, when I really saw it and when it starts getting to that part of the film, it reminded me of like a cross between Alien and Predator, because it becomes this thing that they're trying to hunt, and this thing is also hunting them.
Yeah.
And it had that total feel to me where it sort of looks like they're in the jungle kind of thing, and you know, when the predator, and you just hear it, but you can't see it, and so you get that sort of feeling where it's something akin to that, where it becomes almost that horror aspect and that you get in Alien, where it's just this one creature, but everything is built around that, and the scares and the general sense of dread that you get when you're not knowing what's out there and able to see it, but it's quick as anything and can get you at any moment. Right. So that's what it kind of feels like it'll sort of morph into and transform into that type of a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my last kind of thoughts on this. I'm sorry. I know I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited. To go off of what you're just saying, like, it definitely says something when in the trailer you see the velociraptors released from their cages and then running alongside Chris Pratt on a motorcycle to hunt down the bad thing. If you're hunting with Chris Pratt on a motorcycle and you're a velociraptor hunting the bad thing down, the bad thing's pretty bad. Like, things have gotten to an extreme where Chris Pratt's hanging out with velociraptors to go get you. Like, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, Chris Pratt's on a motorcycle with velociraptors running alongside him. Like, this is going to be big. This is huge. So, nice. Yeah, to go off all that I said, yeah, it's got to be this element of just so bad. So very, very bad.
Well,
did you guys get that from that part of the scene?
Yeah, that's it.
I did.
I mean, you did too, David?
Well, I don't know. Because to get this in detail, you see them, like, the cage is opened, right? Mm-hmm. And then suddenly the next shot, at least you see in the trailer, is him riding along, and his velociraptors running alongside him. Now, my very first initial thought when I first saw the trailer, probably because I'm just taking it in for the first time, and maybe I'd already just hadn't even really noticed the whole gate opening thing, my initial reaction was they're all running from whatever this is. Except when I watched it more, and then you kind of look at the whole thing, okay, they're coming out of the gates, and Chris Pratt's also his, like, composure. It's not like, oh my God, I got to get away from something. He's just kind of like, man, I'm going somewhere. Like, he seems to be going to a place, not getting away from something, is the impression I do get upon watching it more often.
Yeah. I mean, he's very composed, and I mean, granted, the whole them being released from the cages could be a totally different part of the whole movie. I mean, they could have just spliced it all together, so it kind of makes sense. Yeah. But just seeing him on the motorcycle and with this look of determination on his face, and then seeing the velociraptors, they're not snapping at him. They're not coming at him from the sides or from behind. They're not in any kind of attack mode to him. They're in a hunting pattern. I mean, it definitely shows an attack. Like, they're going after something. And that's what got me excited, because I was like, wow, when you have to team up with a velociraptor to hunt down the thing you're hunting down, that's a whole different level. when you've gotten to you need help from a velociraptor, from a herd of velociraptors. Right. You've hit a whole new level.
Well, what did you take away from it, Bobby?
Just that I was thinking, because with a lot of these things, we read ahead and read opinions, and some stuff seems to be leaked, because there was a lot of information about this Jurassic World movie that got leaked ahead of time. And it turned, based on when you watch the trailer, it looks like it all is true based on some of the stuff that we even talked about on the podcast in terms of rumors for what may be the storyline for this. So I already had that in my head. So I saw essentially what Michelle saw is that they were all together. Yeah. But I was starting to think in the sense of, if I didn't know that information and if I was just watching it, to me, it maybe would have read more like he was trying to get away from them. or not get away from them initially, but he was just riding away from something, and then they were running from something, and that they were maybe so afraid of what they were running away from, they had no time to worry about Chris Pratt on a motorcycle. They were just trying to get the hell away from whatever they were moving away from. So that's initially how I was thinking, like, it could have been read if I didn't already sort of know things about it ahead of time.
Yeah.
I've kept myself pretty out of loop on this because I really want to go into this one with totally fresh eyes and a fresh mentality of it. I really haven't read very much online about this movie. I've really tried to just keep a completely open mind about this one because it's so near and dear to my heart. It's one of my favorite things. So I've tried to just enjoy it for what it is and not analyze it too much. So when this trailer came out, for me, it was the first major thing I really paid attention to. So for me, watching the trailer, and I've only watched it like 11 times. But I mean, in those 11 times, I've analyzed it, and that's what I've come up with. That's what I've come up with without reading anything. So, I mean, for one person just seeing it just one time, yeah, it does appear like they are kind of running away. But I think if you watch it even just a second time, you'd be like, he looks like he's going to go get something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, point is, I think it looks awesome. I'm excited. I'm ready to see a new chapter. Let's start fresh and forget the second, third one happened. We're just going to pick up. We're going to go from number 1 and we're just going to pick up 22 years later and here we are. And we're going to see what goes on. That's what I'm going for. Nice.
Well, one last trailer. We had another trailer drop this week, and that was for Pan. This is a new film from director Joe Wright. It's a film that I guess I really didn't read too much about before this trailer came out. I do remember hearing about some of the casting as it was happening, like Hugh Jackman is going to be in this Peter Pan film. And I'm just, my thought is when I hear, another Peter Pan film, just like, okay, whatever, a Peter Pan film. Like the story Peter Pan's not one for me that's like a big, like, I love it or anything. And to hear there's going to be another film, I'm like, all right, whatever. So when I saw that this trailer dropped this week, I was like, all right, I guess I'll watch it. And man, I loved this trailer. Like, I really dug it. I'm totally in. For those who don't know, Joe Wright, he directed Hannah too, which I really liked. He also more recently directed Anna Karenina, which I haven't seen. I've heard mixed things about. I've heard good and bad. But this movie looks really impressive. It's kind of a origin story for Peter Pan. And yeah, Hugh Jackman in it. He plays Blackbeard. Garrett Hedlund's in it. He plays Hook. That should be interesting. But other than that, this trailer it looked great, basically, is all I have to say about it. I'm really excited about the film. It comes out on July 17th of next year, and I kind of can't wait now. Bobby, what'd you think about it?
Same as you. I'm not usually one for a lot of Disney movies, whether they're like live action or animated. And that's not to say that they're not good things that they put out. It's just that a lot of it, especially in the past, wasn't, I felt, put towards me or geared towards me. It just wasn't something that I grew up loving as much as I loved superheroes. So for me, a lot of it just sort of passed me by. You might see some of the stuff here or there, but on the whole, it was just sort of things that I didn't gravitate towards. So seeing this trailer, it really made me interested in seeing the film because, one, Hugh Jackman totally transforms in this movie, and when he is Blackbeard, you almost don't know it's him unless someone tells you or you know that his name is in the credits. So he just looked phenomenal as Blackbeard, and this being an origin story, I almost would think, okay, I'm not going to be interested because why do I need to know about Peter Pan before he became Peter Pan? But
right.
This trailer makes it look interesting to where you're like, wow, okay, I can get behind this. This isn't something I've seen or heard about before. I'm sure there's literature and all kinds of stuff out there, but again, I have no awareness of it because of my lack of Disney knowledge. So I was like, wow, this looks really well done. The special effects look good. The story looks good. The action, just everything about it just really made it look like something I really want to see when it comes out. When beforehand, I probably had zero interest or very little interest in seeing it.
Michelle, what did you think of it? You got all excited when I brought it up. I could tell over there.
I'm super giddy about this one too. Peter Pan is something that's near and dear to my heart. It's probably one of my favorite fairy tale / fable stories that's out there. I always follow the new Peter Pan storylines that come out. I've even read some of the different books that kind of come out, like Peter and the Searchers, and I love it. And I saw this. I've been waiting for this trailer. This is another one I've been waiting for quite some time. I've been following Hugh Jackman on his Instagram, and so to watch him take random photos of himself on set and in the not quite in the character, but with his haircut and everything, to kind of be following that for the past few months, it's been just this build up for me. So I've just been like, oh my gosh, when do I get to see it? When do I get to see it? When do I get to see it? So for when it released this week, I was like, vindication, finally.
Right.
So many things, but the main ones for me is I'm very excited about this whole backstory aspect of it all, to see this origins of Peter Pan, because they really don't ever quite get into that in really any other of the films that are out there. And I love that they've pulled in Blackbeard. I think that's an amazing kind of side thing that I would have never thought they were going to do. So to see a whole different character that is kind of in folklore history throughout multiple books and novels and movies, to bring that in from the outside is really kind of neat. Just quickly, like the visuals of the trailer, to see the quick glimpse from the faraway aspect of Neverland, seeing it as the second star from the right, and seeing the way they've kind of formulated it. I mean, it was such a fast glimpse of it, but like, it just looked beautiful. My heart leapt to see like my childhood fantasy island / planet, whatever you want to call it, is envisioned out in space. And I loved seeing how when Blackbeard came into the orphanage, and when they were kidnapping the boys, it wasn't like we're just going to go in and kidnap them. Like, they were pulling them in their sleep by their legs up through the roof and onto the ship. Like, it was a total startling moment to think like these boys were just literally ripped from this quote unquote home to go to Neverland. Like, I was like, that's just a really neat visual, like, kind of put you in the place of what the kid must be feeling, like, to be literally ripped from that. I'm super excited to see them teamed up. It looks like even Hook is cool with Tiger Lily, which we know later in life they're not cool together. And
right.
It's a storyline that I love, and to see it expanded in such a way just makes me excited to see new aspects of it. It makes me think deeper into the storyline than I've ever thought of before.
Nice. Yeah.
What I'd like about it is that I think I remember reading somewhere is that they wanted it to be like a trilogy. So it would take you all the way through to when he becomes Hook and things shatter between him and Peter Pan, sort of thing. So
that would be awesome too.
Yeah, what I'd really look forward to seeing in the film is that the progression.
Yeah.
That would be another really amazing storyline to watch grow and shatter and change, and to see the different forks that it could go into. That sounds awesome too. I'm down with that. As a Peter Pan fan, I am very excited about this new film, which there's been many, so this is exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, moving on, we did actually watch some movies this week.
Movies?
Yeah, I know.
We didn't just watch
trailers. Just watch things about movies.
I think this is the longest we've talked about just trailers.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
We could fit in the podcast now, and this would easily a full-length podcast. Right. But anyway, yeah, we did watch some movies, and Bobby, you first. We talked about Pitch Perfect 2 last week, and you were saying how you hadn't seen the film. So I guess you watched Pitch Perfect, the first one.
I did.
What'd you think?
Well, okay, so I usually when I mention, we talk about something, I might say on the podcast, okay, I'll give it a shot, or I'll watch that.
Yeah.
And I always try and make good on that whenever I say it, just to sort of be able to come back to the show and talk about it. And one of my friends who listens to us on the podcast listened to it, and she gave me the business about my the words I had to say about Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, I wasn't saying anything bad about it. I was just saying, just from the outside looking in,
it didn't appeal to you.
What it would do. But so I was like, okay, I'll give it a watch and see what happens. And I want to know from you, David. Do you think if I ask you for a Christmas present, you could maybe possibly deliver on it for me?
A Christmas present?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
In the namesake of Christmas.
Yes, of course.
In the namesake of Christmas, I would really want and really like to have an Anna Kendrick for Christmas.
Oh. I can't do that.
Darn it.
That's all mine, buddy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No.
So
He's human.
I've claimed already.
Oh, she's claimed. I didn't realize that. Oh,
Get in line.
Darn. See, okay. I honestly, until this movie, I realized I'd never seen her in anything before. Like, I knew who she. Yeah, I knew who she was, and I know the stuff she's been in, but I've never seen anything she's actually been in before until this.
So that means you've never seen not one of the Twilight movies.
No.
Oh.
You haven't seen any of the Twilight?
No.
I mean, there are five.
Have we talked about that?
5 of them. So.
Wow, I don't think I realized you had seen those.
No.
Not that she's in them for long.
No, she's not. She's got a small role in them.
But I didn't even realize she was in it until you just said that. So yeah.
Twilight.
But I know she's been in some other stuff too. But yeah, I just never seen her in anything.
Wow.
So I watched this film, and
you never saw Up in the Air?
No. Oh yeah, that's right. She was in that.
Sorry, I cut you off, but I just thought of that.
No, that's see, I forgot she was in that,
well,
and I think the first exposure I ever had to her. But it was so long ago, and so much in between she's probably done since then that I just completely forgot that she was in that.
Well,
so
this Christmas we'll get to see her in Into the Woods.
And I don't even know if I was going to go see that.
Oh.
I was really hesitant on whether or not I would see that one. So I don't know.
I'm down with that one.
Would, now that I've seen her in this. And so for me, when I watched the film, I went into it open and it was like, okay, let's see how it goes. And I have to say, I enjoyed it.
I definitely enjoyed it.
See, anyone who's seen the movie is cracking up right now because they totally get that reference. No, you know what? Okay, it's got problems for sure, and it's completely predictable, but it was fun, and it kind of knows that it's what the material is about, and so it's a little bit smarter than what the material is showing itself to be, because it's kind of got the wink and nod thing going because it knows that it's a movie about a cappella singing. So, and that was always my biggest thing about it. When we talked about it, I was like, are they just going to sort of glorify it and make it seem like it's this serious business thing that they make it seem like, and that it's going to be taking itself completely serious? And it doesn't. It has fun with the concept and the premise of it. And it's not really meant to be taken as this like step up film or where they're really completely serious about how hardcore their dance moves are. I mean, this is all done in a very laid back, sort of fun comedy, tongue in cheek way. And I was able to appreciate it on that level and gravitate towards it and enjoy it for what it was. Like I would not say I would be like one of these fanatics or the people that just are so indoctrinated into it and they can quote lines from it and watch it multiple times and everything like that. But I definitely enjoyed it.
All right. I don't know what to say.
You weren't expecting that, huh?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, I expected you to not like it. And I'm not, I mean, I'd like to say if I watched it again, but I'm not going to watch it again. But I mean, I didn't think it was a bad movie. I just approached it, with this. I mean, I think I approached it the same way you did, where, I mean, you even specifically said you had a friend going, oh my God, how dare you talk about Pitch Perfect or whatever your friend told you, yeah. And, made you watch it. And, when I went into it with that perspective of, and everybody loves this movie. And I saw the marketing and I had no desire to see this. And I finally watched it because I think it was on HBO. So I'm like, all right, I'll DVR it. I DVR'd it. I was bored one day. I watched it and I'm like, all right, like, I like Anna Kendrick, but other than that, I was, I wasn't thrilled with it. I mean, I kind of went on a rant last week about the whole like commentators, and even though they're kind of the best part of the movie, I just found that whole concept irritating. I don't know. It just wasn't really for me. But I mean, I'm not saying I necessarily thought you were going to be like, oh man, yeah, that movie was bad. Like, because I don't really think it's bad. No, it's just not my thing.
Well, it's so funny because like I was paying a special close attention to the commentators because I remember what you said about them last week, and yeah, it's weird the purpose that they serve in the film because it's almost like they're doing it just for us because
they are,
because it's like who's listening to them? Like, where are they broadcasting to? Or
it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. But it is funny, like you said. They have some good sort of off one-liners and everything where. Do you remember? I'm sure you watched Major League, right?
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah,
it's been a while. Yeah, but it sort of has that sort of feel where, they're commentating on the thing, the game, but they're just sort of riffing and doing things that they would never really do in a real live commentary. But it sort of has that feel to it, and I laughed a few times at some of the things that they were saying, and so.
Definitely. And my complaints about them are definitely, I will fully admit, it's me taking probably the movie a little more seriously than I should be. Mm-hmm. But I can't help but be like, this wouldn't happen. Why are these commentators even here? Like, what? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it again. But
yeah, but I honestly thought that it was better than I was expecting it to be. And I don't know if that's just the magic of low expectations at work or if I think I genuinely enjoyed it because I had the feeling where, like, if I was to watch it a second time, that I wouldn't mind seeing it a second time. And I barely watch movies a second time. So, yeah, that says something to me that I definitely enjoyed it.
I'm really curious to have you have a little Twilight marathon.
Oh, God.
And you talk about it for we could talk about Twilight a whole podcast. And I'm really curious.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
More the bad and the ugly, but
yeah, yes,
yeah, that's crazy.
But
anyway.
see, if I was to do that, the whole time I'd be watching it, I would be thinking about all the other shows I could be catching up on, all the other movies I could be watching instead of this, and instead of this experiment that you want to put me through, just to be able to talk about it. Because I just don't have much of a desire to see those movies. Yeah. I mean, talk about something that's really not aimed at me. I really feel like those movies aren't aimed at me, and there's definitely so it's just I just don't see the point in watching those for me.
Yeah.
But on the upswing of things, come Christmas, you have Into the Woods, which you could totally go see. That's aimed at almost anyone. I mean, I'm excited for Into the Woods. I mean, Stephen Sondheim,
I love Stephen Sondheim stuff.
I'm excited for this one. There's two movies at Christmas that I'm very excited for. Into the Woods is the one, and the other is Unbroken. And between those two movies, that's Christmas for me right there.
So you've seen Scott Pilgrim, right?
Have I?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Okay, she's in that. Anna Kendrick's in Scott Pilgrim.
God, why do I not remember her in that?
She's she's his sister.
Oh, okay. God, see, I didn't even remember she was his sister in that.
And 50-50, did you see that?
I didn't see that, no.
You should see that. That's a good movie.
Yeah, I remember when it came out, that 50-50, but I just wanted to slip through the cracks, and I just never had a chance to see it.
We'll have a little Anna Kendrick movie marathon one day.
I know, because I do remember one time when I was just listening to the podcast before I was on it, and you guys were having a whole discussion, I think, about Annas, and it was like... See?
Oh, man. I remember that conversation well.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. And I hate getting into it because that person is not here to defend himself. And man, oh, God.
Yeah. So and then I remember the Anna Kendrick discussion, and I was like, I remember not knowing too much about her, but I guess I had seen her in a couple of things, just didn't realize it. Yeah. But
good actress.
She's in the forefront in this, so you can't help but to not know who she is and miss her. So, yeah, definitely, I can see the appeal. For
sure. So you also saw Foxcatcher this week, right?
Oh, yeah, Foxcatcher. Oh wow, what do I say about Foxcatcher? It's incredible. It's like one of those movies where you probably wouldn't want to watch it more than once because it's so heavy, and it's incredible because the performances in here are just, oh my god, like Steve Carell and Channing Tatum, they're so different than what you normally would expect from them in something, especially Steve Carell, because he's so creepy and so horrible. And I won't say despicable because that would sort of think of his other character. But he was just very odd, strange person. And he's playing this real life person that, for those that don't know the story, it's about John DuPont. And he's comes from this DuPont family that's really wealthy and rich and old money kind of thing. And so, generally speaking, their pastime, their livelihood would be in doing something like horses or fox catching, like the sport, hunting them down. And he is not of that ilk. He wants to be into something different, and his thing is he likes wrestling. So what he does is he goes out and gets a former Olympic winner in wrestling that's played by Channing Tatum to coach a wrestling team that he wants to be able to take to the Olympics in Seoul and be able to win. And it's about their relationship. And Channing Tatum, he already plays this sort of damaged character where you can tell he's just not altogether competent on his own, because his older brother, played by Mark Ruffalo, is the one that took care of them growing up, and he always looked out for him. But Channing feels like he's in his brother's shadow, and they're both wrestlers, so he feels like he has something to prove, not only to himself but to his brother, and also to Steve Carell's character, who's sort of like a father figure and a mentor to him. But that relationship, as you see it build and twist, and it's heart-wrenching to see it. And as it goes along, you just see they really put a lot into their parts, because they really are going for it. I mean, the emotions and just the oddity of it all. It's just such an odd movie, but well done. And I really liked it, but it's one of those things where I don't know that it'd be for everyone, because it's a slow pace. It's all talking, obviously. It's not like an action movie or anything. It's just definitely one of those movies where you would see it appear on someone's Oscar ballot. And so it has that sort of feel to it where you can tell this is a performance-driven piece. And if you're into something like that, and if you're into at least what the scenario I set up is, then it would be something you would maybe want to check out. Other than that, it's not really something that everyone's going to go out and see or enjoy if they did see it.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I definitely got to catch that one of these weeks coming up before awards. Really get into it. But
so crazy.
I'll definitely see it. Michelle, both you and I saw Big Hero 6 this week. Not together, separately, but we both saw it. You already previously talked about it on another episode, Bobby, but real quick, I really liked the film. It's about what I expected. Obviously I already talked about taking my kid to it, and he liked the film too, but I really enjoyed it. I don't really know what else to say about it though. It was an interesting kind of entry into kind of the superhero genre, but animated, and it was a little different, and yeah, I dug it. What'd you think of it?
I really liked it a lot, actually. Like you said, it's really nice. It's the first kind of like comic book tie-in to animation, really. It's their first time they've really kind of leapt into that.
Yeah.
There's even a really awesome cameo in the middle of the movie that is exciting. But what I liked was that even at the end, even though everything, like all Disney movies, everything's wrapped up into a little box. And at the same time, I felt like it left itself open to start continuing more Big Hero 6 movies, whereas most Disney movies, they end and they're done. And even though Disney will make a Lion King 2 and Aladdin 2 and whatever 2
like
and
direct to
3,
video usually.
Right. This one feels like it could go to a Big Hero 6, second version.
Right.
But it wouldn't be a to video. It would be successful the way Toy Story is going into a second and into a third movie. Because it has so many different places it can go with the heroes. Mm-hmm. And I liked that. Like, that felt like I was thinking about that on the car right after the movie. I was like, wow, they could really do a successful second movie and a successful third movie and not a direct to video weird the way like Aladdin went and Lion King and all those other regular Disney animated movies went into the second one. Like, they're even talking about Frozen 2 now. And I just can't see, as wonderful as Frozen is, and everybody loves Frozen, I can't see the second Frozen being as successful as the first. But watching this, I was like, wow, they really could expand upon this easily, and it would do well, I think.
Yeah. No,
but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just fun and heartfelt, and it was good. It had just enough action in it, and just enough for the adults to enjoy too. And yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I was actually a little bummed because I didn't realize until the day before I went to go see it that I guess I never had watched the full length trailer of it. I'd only, I guess, seen maybe shorter trailers that really only focused on Hero and Baymax. Mm-hmm. And the day before we went to go see it, I went on Apple trailers to show the trailer to my son to see if he would even kind of take to it. And then I'm watching this trailer. I'm like, wow, I've never seen this. So I didn't have any idea about and this is not a spoiler, but the whole his brother and that aspect of the film. I didn't even know about that. So I kind of wish I hadn't watched that full length trailer, but I still enjoyed the film. It was great. I liked it.
See, I didn't. I might have missed that full length trailer because I didn't know about it when I went
until I watched it on Apple, and then I watched it. I was like, "Wow, this trailer that I'm thinking of definitely kind of started off going into the whole thing about the brother making Baymax. He's the one that created Baymax, and then it also showed a lot more of the rest of the team, which you also don't really see in the other trailers that I saw. You really only see Baymax and Hero."
Yeah, I think they released that one much closer to the release date of the actual movie, now that you mention it. Because, it definitely goes into a little more of the movie itself, whereas the other ones were a little more teaser-ish, and they were really focusing on the whole Hero Baymax situation. Yeah. But the later ones started really working on the actual storyline from the comics and kind of pulling the team together and how the whole thing came about. But, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was good. And real quick, I also saw Whiplash this week. You haven't seen it, have you, Michelle?
No.
Oh my God, it's so good. Bobby, you were so right. When we talked about it, Bobby, you had seen Birdman and Whiplash in the same week. And in that setting, you were saying that you definitely like Whiplash more than Birdman, even though you liked Birdman a lot. Right. I will say, that's tough for me because I really enjoyed Birdman. But I could see this maybe edging out Birdman a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. That's a tough comparison for me. But Whiplash was excellent. Go see Whiplash. I mean, maybe, being kind of from that background, I went to college as a music major before I kind of changed focus and went into, recording engineering. But, so, I mean, not that I was a drummer and not that I was anywhere near the level of the performers in this film, or at least what they're supposed to be. Maybe that is a part of the reason I loved it so much, but it's an excellent film. If J.K. Simmons doesn't got at least a nomination and not an award for his performance in it, there's something wrong in the world. Mm-hmm. Like, he's so good in it. And Miles Teller's good in the film too. But J.K. Simmons was excellent. And, not to get into spoilers, but the kind of dance between the two of them at the end of the film is something to watch. It's something else.
That's what I was going to say, because it's one of those things where, like, I knew you would get it, and because I was in band for junior high, and I mentioned it last time, where when you're in band and you kind of get a sense, even if you're not on their level or into it as much as they are, you're familiar with the beats of it, and no pun intended. You're just like where you've seen in class that person that's at first chair, and you're wondering how'd they get first chair compared to like,
Right.
someone else that you're thinking should be in first chair beyond them. And then there's those aspects of you see people wetting their reeds and clearing the spit valves, and it's just like it all felt like stuff you would see when you're in band. And so it just really got that right. And then the score with the jazz in there, I mean, it's just like everything really works so well about the film. Just that piece, that Whiplash piece, which is what the movie's named for, is that signature song that they play within the movie, and how hard it was. And it's just like how much of a taskmaster J.K. Simmons is in this film. It's so good. It's just like, I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of great things about it going into it. So by the time I did watch it, I was kind of had higher expectations. Because like I said before, I mean, when I saw the trailer originally, I knew that there were good things coming out of Sundance, where I think it premiered. But it just struck me as a movie that I'm like, I don't know, I feel like it's going to make me uncomfortable, like it looks stressful. And I had a bad feeling that I'm like, man, I'm sure it's good, but I don't know if I want to watch it. But then, you praised it, and I'm like, all right, I got to see this. And it was, I am very, very happy I watched it. Very good film.
Cool.
So go see it. With that, we haven't gotten into any news, and unfortunately, we're not going to have time. There is, like I mentioned before, one bit of Star Wars rumor about a spinoff that I definitely want to talk about. We will talk about it next week, including some other stuff maybe we didn't get to. But at this point, we are going to have to get out of here. So, as usual, for those listening, we'd like to know what you thought of the podcast and everything we talked about today. You can let us know by emailing us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and YouTube. If you need links to those accounts, you can find them on our website over on the right-hand side. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.